Hi YouTube, just a short rant with BB here. Just had a memory of a long time ago in my early 20s. Can't remember what movie it was that I went to see at a movie theater, but when I was in my early 20s, I participated in a special ed, special needs, young adult activity group. It was called Young Life, and the chapter was called Capernaum. Young Life Capernaum is a national chapter or international chapter of Young Life Christian organization that does youth groups. But then Capernaum is designed for like children, teens, adolescents, young adults, adults, all with special needs. And I went to this group in my early 20s up until I, like, 19 years old, or until I was 24. So on and off again for about like 5.5 years. And sometimes it was at the church that it was at, in the one of the classrooms, in event spaces, and sometimes in the banquet hall, and sometimes in the gym at that church. And then other times there would be like a meetup. We'd all meet at the church, and then we'd take metro buses or carpools. I think it was always, all the adult parents, mostly Gen Xer or baby boomer parents of most of these special needs young adults. They did the driving, and we'd go to movie theaters, maybe a bowling alley, the mall, different places for different activities. And so one time we went to the movie theater, we saw a movie. Now remember the weirdest thing, there were some of the disabled girls, young women-ish, my age-ish, give or take a few years, early 20s. They didn't understand. They acted like they'd been to movie theaters hundreds of times before, right? But then they get up to the counter to order their food, to like order a drink and a popcorn bag and candy and a pretzel and a hot dog, and they don't know what the items are, and they don't know what the sodas are. And instead of asking, what type of sodas do you have, they would just kind of blurt out, Diet Crush, Diet Sprite, Diet A&W root beer, instead of looking directly at the soda fountain machine right in front of them with all the sticker labels on it that showed you what sodas that the movie theater had. They just kept on insisting Diet Sprite, Diet Root Beer, Diet Sprite, Diet Root Beer. And I can tell you, they weren't autistic, but they did have intellectual disabilities that were very pronounced, profound, intense, socially debilitating, that they couldn't understand different places, have different foods, have different drinks, etc. And I just couldn't stand there and watch them continue this circle jerking. And so I tapped one of them on the shoulder, and I said to her, whatever her name was, I said, you see this machine right in front of you? It has all the sticker labels of the sodas that the movie theater has. You have to pick one of them. Or you could order an icy. Or you could order a bottle of water. But these are the sodas right here, these sticker labels. These are the sodas that they have. You can't just assume or think that a place is going to have Diet Sprite or Diet Root Beer. And they looked at me as if that was a completely new revelation. But they had also said many times, like in the carpool or on the metro bus, on the way there, We love going to the movies. We love going to movie theaters. We always go to the movies. And it baffled me. It really baffled me. On the other flip side of the spectrum, there were a handful of these young adults with developmental disabilities who didn't know how to, when we went to a different movie theater or a bowling alley or the mall or some restaurant or food place where you got your own sodas at the machine, they didn't know how to watch the soda coming out of the machine into your cup and then pull it away just in time before it spills over. And they weren't looking, they weren't making that hand-eye coordination attempt, they weren't watching it, they weren't tracking it with their eyes. And so it'd spill all over them, and then they would drop the cup full of liquid on the ground, on their shoes, on their pants, and they would get so upset. And I felt like nobody of all the neurotypical adults running this group because they were cushion goody two-shoes from the local university college thinking, oh, I can get my community service hours this way, participating in helping and doing silly summer camp activities with grown adults who have special needs. And it drove me insane. Like, I'm more neurotypical than a lot of those young adults at the program were. I still blended in with them somewhat. I still went to it because I wanted somewhere social to be. And I was kind of in that social realm between going to bars and having drinking buddies, but also being autistic and wanting to still kind of be with people of my variety. But a lot of them were much more low functioning than me. And I found that very challenging and hard to get through. And sometimes there were 2 or 3 or 4 weeks I didn't go to this group on the weekly, Wednesday night or Thursday night. There were some weeks I just didn't show up. And then there were other weeks I showed up 2, 3, or 4 or 5 weeks in a row. And then I'd skip a week, and then I'd go back, and then I'd skip a week, and I'd go back. Sometimes I skipped events, and field trip events, because I was just like, you know what, screw this. I'm not going. Sometimes they were like sheltered workshop things, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I already have a real job, and I don't have a job coach hovering over my shoulder. But thanks anyways. It's stuff like that. It just baffled me that their customer communication skills were not there, and some of them didn't know how to get their own drink or soda at a soda fountain without spilling it all over themselves and having a 2-year-old tantrum in an adult body because no one ever taught them how to do it. And I think I tried once or twice to kind of help them watch with your eyes, pull it back towards you before it gets to the top. And I think it worked once. And then they spilled it later when they were eating all over themselves. So I gave up after that. And as for the older girls who didn't have any clue that, you gotta look at the menu and you gotta look at the stickers and the labels for the types of drinks that are offered. That lesson or that little suggestion of help that I provided, it didn't stick in their memories. And the next time they continued ordering, and the next time out at a restaurant or at a food place that we all went to, they wanted Diet Sprite and Diet Root Beer. It just, they weren't prepared. That's it. They were not prepared to socially integrate into mainstream society on an independent functional level without falling apart, having a tantrum, crying, having a meltdown, because restaurants don't have Diet Sprite or Diet Root Beer. And as concrete as that may sound, that was their problem. Their parents and their caregivers and their teachers and their coaches and their therapists had never taught them how to improvise. When you have special needs as a kid, the best thing that your parents can do for you is to teach you how to improvise. when you're an adolescent and going into society and going places and learning to be independent, you need to be taught how to improvise. And when it's a young adult in their early 20s to their 30s, they need to be taught how to improvise. And when you have a young adult and like 24, 25 years old keeps on ordering Diet Sprite and Diet Root Beer when places clearly don't have it, and they haven't read the menu, or they don't look at the sticker labels, and they don't ask what sodas do you have, the people to blame for that lack of improvisation and lack of adjustment or acclimation to the environment that you're currently in, the blame lies with the teachers. The blame lies with the parents. The blame lies with the caregivers. The blame lies with the guardians. The blame lies with the therapists. The blame is on all the adults who are supposed to teach and raise more people of the next generation, especially those with developmental disabilities. If you don't teach your children, disabled or not, how to improvise in life when things don't go their way, and to just say, it's okay, I'll try again another day. It's okay, I'll have Sprite instead of Diet Sprite. It's okay, I'll have Diet Coke instead of Diet Root Beer. Oh. And that, folks, is my rant. Whether your kids are disabled or not, your teens are disabled or not, your young adult children, your adult children are disabled or not, if they can't handle improvisation in the most basic everyday thing outside of your home, outside of their home, then you have failed. Okay, that's my rant. Come back later. Bye.